markets. The Rand and JSE is trading slightly firmer at midday after a flat start with no major local economic data expected today. The focus could be on President Cyril Ramaphosa, who will respond to that parliamentary debate on his State of the Nation address. The President set to take to the podium around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Let's bring in Khanyisa Ngesi, who is Absa Group's Investment Solutions Head. He joins us now for more. It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on, Khanyisa. Shall we begin with Nigeria and the Naira? They have another devaluation, and I imagine that hurts especially the likes of MTN. Can you give us a sense of what's going on there?
Afternoon, Michelle. The removal of the subsidy and the liberalization of the Naira, I think we've always known that it was going to be quite challenging for that type of shock to work through the system, if you will. Since the government eased foreign exchange controls earlier in the year, the Naira has plunged and has weighed on company earnings. And while the removal of fuel subsidies has contributed to inflation, you highlight that MTN obviously is one of the negative beneficiaries of this regime. Nigeria is MTN's biggest market by subscribers and contributes more than a third of the group's total revenue, and it's a big growth vector for the company. However, MTN themselves has come out and said that look, they will be able to work through this current regime, and they do see their business being able to pick up and grow and repair profits and the earnings profile for the group, even within the ambit of what we see happening with the Naira. It has been weakened by a local shortage of dollars, and companies are complaining that they are actually unable to repatriate any earnings. But the Nigerian government is trying to clear the backlog of dollar demand.
Shall we stay with news in telecoms? Blue Label Telecoms has a trading statement out. What do those numbers tell us? And does Cell C feature anywhere?
It does, Michelle. So this trading statement is for the 6-month period ended 30th of November 2023. They've come out with a trading statement guiding for core HEPS of 47 Rand 15 cents per share. However, if you exclude the Cell C recapitalization, core headline earnings actually declined by 23% to about 40 Rand per share, primarily due to the 119 million decline in core headline earnings from CEC. CEC's gross profit has declined due to the increased expenditure related to the Cell C distribution agreement and an increase in expected credit losses. I think the Cell C recapitalization program has put Blue Label in a very challenging cash flow position, with CEC essentially overstocked on airtime.
Khanyisa, the strategic partnership between Time Bank and retail giant, the Foschini Group, has acquired 1 million bank account customers in just over a year. It does look like this is the new direction for retail and banking, doesn't it?
It can be if the retail model and the banking model is of strategic partnerships, obviously with large-scale ecosystems. And in this specific example of Time Bank and Foschini, it has shown impressive outcomes since launching in 2019. Time Bank has acquired about over 6 million customers in under 4 years, with an impressive amount of transactions per month. I think if the goal and the strategy is to drive customer growth and engagement, you want to be able to partner with someone who you can leverage off their respective expertise and resources. And obviously you want to then reinvent the banking experience. What Time Bank and the Foschini Group has done very well is that Time Bank obviously has partnered with someone who's renowned for their retail strength and their very strong customer focus. So this partnership specifically is a unique example of 2 leading brands that have come together to offer something that's truly innovative and customer-centric in the way of banking, a new front door to banking, so to speak.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the next few months, how that performance continues. And then less than 2 weeks after disclosing a plan to dispose of, 50 million shares of the company that he founded, Jeff Bezos offloading 24 million shares in Amazon worth around 4 billion rand. Do other shareholders need to worry at all about this?
I would say, Michelle, usually when executive directors in a company sell shares, in the absence of any clear, transparent communication as to the reason why, it can be construed as a loss of confidence in a company. However, this is not the case here. As you've highlighted, Jeff has been unloading Amazon stock, selling nearly 25 million shares at $4 billion since February, and there is likely more to come. If you look at Amazon's latest annual report, they did note that the executive chair is actually planning to sell a total of 50 million shares by January 31st, 2025. If you look at what the Amazon share price has done, actually it does make sense. I mean, it's skyrocketed. Shares are now up about 70% over the past year, outpacing the S&P 500, which only gained about 20% in the time. So it's allowing him to cash out at a high, as he stepped down as a CEO about 3 years ago, and he's now focusing on new products and early initiatives as the executive chair. But I think something to highlight is that it doesn't mean that he's deserting the company. Obviously, his wealth is tied to Amazon, so it makes sense to diversify. But I think another thing to highlight is potentially his move to Florida, which allows him to avoid Washington State's new 7% capital gains tax, which applies to the sale of assets like stocks, bonds, etc., which are worth more than $250,000. So this move does make sense and nothing to be alarmed about.
All right, shall we try and put in a last question? Sony slashing its full-year sales forecast for its PlayStation 5 console, adding that it plans to list its financial business next year. What do you think about that?
Sure. So I think maybe 1 or 2 points on Sony, Michelle. They've been very ambitious in terms of their sales targets for the PS5 console specifically, and I think that's the view on the street is that so if you look at what they've sold so far, which is about 8.2 million PlayStation 5 units in the third quarter compared to 7.1 million units, there is growth there, but they've got a goal of 25 million units, which I think is quite ambitious. So they've slashed their full year sales forecast, and they actually plan to list their financial business next year as they focus on entertainment and image sensors. So strong operating profit, beating the street estimates. But as I said, I think they've been very ambitious from the get-go with regards to their sales targets. And I mean, you've been seeing them trying hard with promotions and bundles and discounts, etc.
Yeah, Khanyisa Ngesi, it's a pleasure talking to you this afternoon. Thanks very much indeed for getting us the latest on those market moves.